Hi guys, welcome back to The Bell. This is a podcast that celebrates women in sports, entertainment and the creative industry. Today we're going to talk about women's football, broadcasting, being a media officer, being a champion. She was telling us like, oh my gosh guys, I decided to leave my medal at home because, humility. This episode we have Sinethemba Mbatha. Thank you. Oh, you want
Hi everyone, it's the WAFCON winning media officer here. That's my new title. Just don't call me Sinethemba Mbatha and it ends there. It's WAFCON winning Sinethemba Mbatha. But yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you for making the time. Before we start, I just want to apologize. As a Barca fan speaking to a Chelsea fan, it's been a terrible transfer season for you guys. I just want to say sorry.
And you know what? I told people I'm no longer concentrating on the transfer season. I just want the transfer window to close and we get football rolling and we focus on only football.
I mean, that's the only thing you can focus on because the transfer hasn't been,
But we're gonna see who's gonna be smiling at the end of this season.
Okay, no, it's fine. So, Sinethemba Mbatha, you are the media officer for Banyana Banyana. But I was listening to your interview with G Sport for Girls, right? And you were like, yes, I am that, but I'm also more. You're also a broadcaster and stuff. You're a multi-hyphenate, and I like that. But before we talk about what you do, we'd like to know who is Sinethemba Mbatha? Where's she from? How was she as a kid? Were you always into sport?
I think it's something that came when I was grade 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I grew up around my dad, being very close to my dad and my brothers. So it kind of.
Are you the last one?
No, I'm not. Actually,
wow.
My older sister. Then she left to go to varsity at Rhodes. She's 3 years older than me, and then it was just me, my 2 brothers, and dad. And strict dad. My dad is a cop, guys. So strict dad, and never really. We're allowed to do anything besides spending time with dad and my brothers. We're not allowed to visit. I think it's because my dad was a cop. He just kind of paranoid in terms of us visiting our friends. He was scared of, oh my gosh, what could happen and stuff like that. So the only place we visited really was the stadium. I think our first experience with my brothers was Herigwala, and that became like our playground. Every time we'll go to Herigwala with dad, and that's how I got hooked to football. I'm much more versatile now in terms of sports, but football is really my speciality. Went to football, and then I'd ask dad, when we get to the stadium, I'd ask dad, what is an offside? Why is this person getting a red card, a yellow card, just to understand football. But when I was there, I wanted to be more than just a spectator. I think that has always been my thing. And I think that's one thing my dad always tells people. She will tell me all the time when we're at the stadium that she just does not want to be a spectator. She wants to be more. Inside, And I think with us, with Sim Carol, I think we grew up watching Carol. So she'd be on the touchline presenting for Super Sports, and you just see yourself through her. And I think that's what ignited my dream. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a spectator. I want to be more than that. And yeah, man. And after that, started auditions, obviously, and look where we are now.
Did you play sports, or you just? Why is that a funny question?
Because my line is, those who don't play, they write about it, they present it. And
that is so true.
But to be honest, I tried playing netball in grade 11. Okay, from grade 8 to grade 11, I played netball. But then in grade 11, my parents had a problem with my marks dropping because I was still trying to get into medicine. So my parents are like, hey, sisters, you have to drop one because we can't be paying such large amounts of money only for you to choke in grade 11 and you're focusing on netball. And black parents, guys, we know this. You can never tell black parents to say, no, ma, netball is gonna get me through varsity. No, just leave my house, girl. Thank you. So it was that thing. It was okay. In grade 11, I just kind of gave up netball and just focused on academics and stuff. But then when I got to varsity and I got to be away from my parents, which was also important for me not to go to a varsity in KZN.
Okay.
And I chose
Are you from KZN?
Born and bred in KZN. Small town.
And when did you move?
Called Escort. And then I went to study in Bloemfontein. Completed matric in 2012.
Okay. Went
to study at the University of Free State in Bloemfontein from 2013. At first, it was medicine. I'm doing medicine.
So you went to Free State study
medicine. But then I couldn't get into medicine. My friends and I couldn't get into medicine, and we wanted it so badly. And even with medicine, the sole thing behind me and medicine was to be a medical doctor for a sport team, whether it's Chelsea or Bafana.
So sports has always
been sport for me.
I like
and
that.
Then when we applied, of course, UKZN didn't accept me for medicine. And then UFS is like, okay, we can't accept you for medicine, but we're going to accept you for BSc. So you're going to do BSc. And then you must get straight A's in order for you to get into medicine. Then I was like, why? I'm motivated and stuff like that. But no, I couldn't get, I didn't get straight A's. But even when I was doing BSc, I realized that it wasn't my field. Like sometimes you realize when something is not yours. Even when you're holding it with both hands, when it's not yours, it's still just gonna.
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it feels forced. Yeah,
and I would call my parents and tell them, you know what, nah, this is not me and stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, I still wanted something that was going to allow me to work with people. I knew law was never gonna be.
It's so funny how it's always medicine, law, accounting.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
And law and accounting was just out for me. I was like, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
And then after first year of BSc, I was like, you know what? I went to speak to the dean. I was like, you know what? I want to change and I want to do psychology. And with sports psychology at the back of my mind, obviously, because every decision that I've made has always been guided by sports. And then and then I got into psychology, loved it. And then it was during varsity where I started living for SNE. Because I felt like when I was in high school, it was just living for my parents, making my parents proud. Restricted. And then when I got to varsity, I started living for SNE. What does SNE like? And I started being a risk taker. So that's when auditions came in. I went to my first audition at the age of 19.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I remember the age.
Wait, were you still at UFS?
Yes, I was.
And you auditioned around?
Yes, SABC came to first date.
Oh, wow.
And I was back home when they came. But luckily, I got a reassessment for chemistry. And then I had to go back to Bloemfontein. So I had
chemistry.
Yeah, you know. I choked. But I got to go to an audition and Thomas Mlambo was there, which was something I remind him all the time. Like, remember what you told me during my audition, because I was 19 and the age restriction was 21, but they still allowed me through because they're like, okay, let's allow her through. And I nailed my audition. And that has always been me and sports. I don't practice sports. Like
it's natural. It
happens like breathing to me. When I speak sports and stuff, when I stand in front of the camera and speak sports, it just comes naturally. And I nailed my audition. And then the judges asked me, what are you busy with? And I'm like, ish, I'm still in varsity. And then that's when they had a problem. They're like, okay, you know what? We can't disturb your studies. I'm like, can disturb studies. It's fine. I want money.
Yeah.
I want money and to live my dream. But
you did?
You know, they didn't allow me to go through to I got the call back, but I didn't come to Joburg to the top 10. And at the time when it was happening, I was mad. But looking back now at the age of 28 and looking back to the 19-year-old me, I'm glad it didn't happen.
Okay.
I felt like God knows when was the right time for my dream to take off, because had it happened back then, I wouldn't be where I am now. I think I would have lost myself in the industry. I would have probably had depression, because it's not an easy.
You were young.
I was very young, and it's not an easy industry. So I was glad that I was able to complete my studies, and then after that, focus on my dream. So
I like that. Okay, so you study at UFS medicine, and then you transferred into psychology. Can I ask, like, what made you think psychology?
Because I realized, because I would read a lot. I still love reading, just that camps disturb me now. Like but I love reading, and my dad would get us, what was that magazine? Like your Soccer Life magazine. And there was a time when you'd see these ugly stories about our footballers, like Mang going through this. They've lost this, they've lost that. And I realized, you know what? There's such a huge gap when it comes to the players and their mental health in their respective clubs. It's like everyone almost focuses on their physical aspect of the game, and no one never pays attention to how they are feeling mentally. And for me, that was the thing. I just felt like there was a gap, and I was meant to fill that gap. And at the time of doing psychology. At first it was like, no, I just want to be a clinical psychologist, have my practice and have people coming through. But then as time went by and I got involved into football, I realized why I wanted it so badly. Yet to get my license. My parents are frustrated with me because they're pushing me to get my license.
Do you want to?
I want to.
Okay.
I want to, and I think it's because of going into different camps now. From going with the men's team to Banyana, you realize that players...
Wait, are you also media officer for the men's team?
No, I was with the under 23.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I was a manager and media officer for the under 23. I have served as a media officer for the under 17, under 20. So through all those camps, you learn and you are exposed to how much the players need psychologists in football. And I think with the guidance of Dr. Ngwenya as well, because that's the person that has always guided me. I think I first spoke to him when I was in varsity, like, you know what, I see a gap, and he tried to like get me psychologists to speak with me and just make me aware of what to expect when I come into the industry. But I really want to get my license and I want to have my practice. So I've given myself like 2 years to get that.
2 years from this year?
From this year.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it is a huge gap. Because, you know, athletes, we see them spiral out and stuff, and people just make fun of them without understanding this could be a cry for help. So I like that. So after your studies, you got your psychology degree, and then what happened?
So when I was in varsity, I would balance things out. Like I'd be a varsity student and then I'll write. Like I started writing. I remember I was the first lady to be published on Sokala Duma actually.
Ooh! Did you just come in with championships?
You know, like I was just destined for greatness, guys. Let me be humble, it's okay. But yeah, I was the first lady to get published for Sokala Duma and stuff. And then I continued going.
How did you do that? How did you get there?
So I just started writing. Like I see a story, and then I was like, you know what, I can capitalize on this. Let me write something. And then I did this one big story where I was comparing German football to South African football in terms of how do they do things when it comes to development. And there are football academies across Germany that were just there for the sole purpose of nurturing their indigenous talent. Okay. So I felt like I needed to compare that in South Africa. I'll find my article and you guys should check
we'll put it on the
it's still so down. Yeah, and then I wrote that, and Sokala Duma at that time had a thing where it says get published. So it was just a whole lot of us writing, but the best articles will get published on the actual Sokala Duma platforms. And that's when they published me, and and for me that was a motivation, like, oh my gosh, I'm a good writer. Then I started writing while still going for auditions. Went to 2013 was SABC. 2014 I went to Supersport audition.
Wait, so this was after varsity?
This was still in varsity.
Still in varsity.
Both auditions happened when I was still in varsity.
Okay.
Then 2014 I went to the Supersport auditions, and I made it to the last round actually. That's the one where Lidio Dube and Amanda Manku actually won, you know. Yeah, so that's crazy. And then after that kind of calmed down because I was like, oh my gosh, so many auditions and I always just come close but I never make it.
Yeah.
And and if we're speaking about auditions, if you've been to auditions, you'll know how
stressful.
Your rejection hurts. And that's the thing about this industry, you will get more no's than yes. So and I had to teach myself, like, you know what, you need to calm down, complete this degree. So after my degree, I went back home that was during 2016. That's when the whole fees must fall happened. So instead of graduating in 2016, I graduated in 2017. So when I was home, I would still write and then I would do audition tapes. I think that's the thing.
By yourself, like just
oh wow. Like I'll use my brother still remind me every day, like
remember
whenever you make money, we deserve a share because
how was your producer? Okay.
Exactly. Because that's what I did, and that's always like the advice I gave, like never let producers breathe. Broadcast corporations, send them your demo tapes, because that's what I did. Like I'd send demo tapes, like this is me, Snare.
You know what's funny? Do you remember my DM? Like in 20... Do you remember?
I think we're going way back.
2020. Because I was trying to get into the industry. You were like, bro, just send out everything. Like that's all I can say. Like
because that's what worked for me. And I understand that different things work for different people. But guys, annoying producers with demo tapes, they remember you.
Yeah.
Like they remember you. But still, even then, my breakthrough didn't come. And it only came... when I went to, after varsity, then I got a job as an intern at a construction company which tried to push me into the industrial psychologist route, but I wasn't ready for it. It wasn't my thing. I'm not an office person. Like
let me this girl right here.
Like I can't do that. Like I can't be office confined. So that wasn't working out for me, and that wasn't working out. And I wanted to quit so badly, but every time I wanted to quit, my sister, because getting an internship there was the only way I could come to Joburg. So for my dreams.
So it wasn't Joburg.
It wasn't Joburg, major.
Yeah.
So every time I wanted to quit, my sister would be like, "Hey, sis, do you wanna go home?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll stick it out. Like I'll stay around and stuff." But even then, I never got to a point where I fully let go of my sport dreams. Like I would still push on the side, and that's when my breakthrough actually came. When I got to sport at 10, because I would say that when things started opening up, because I was blogging for G Sport, because Cass knew my potential even when I didn't know it. Like when I felt like, you know what, guys, I need a break now. This thing is not happening. God, please remove it from my heart. Let me focus on something else. And then Cass came on board, and I would blog for G Sports. I remember in 2019 I was actually blogging for Banyana and stuff when they were debutant at the World Cup. And then the breakthrough came when I was selected as a guest presenter for Sport at 10.
Okay.
With Thomas Sunlambo.
Yeah.
And I had to remind him, like, yo, bro.
We go way back.
Yeah, we go way back and stuff. So, yeah. And then when I was a guest presenter for Sport at 10, for me, it was like a voice from God reminding me that I haven't forgotten about you, and don't let go of your broadcasting dreams. I still got you, because I needed that reminder. Because during 2019, I won't lie, there was a point where I was like, hey, I'm not an office person, but let me just be a corporate girl and forget about sports and stuff like that. So when Sport at 10 happened, it happened really at a time when I needed it. And I remember I got the call on the same day I was going to be on TV. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was walking out just minding my own business, and then they're like, hey, Sine, we need you on TV tonight. I'm like, what? And I started calling everyone and stuff. But it was really just a beautiful moment in terms of my personal relationship with God. It was really God just saying, hey, I just wanted to come and remind you that I haven't forgotten about you. And then after Sport at 10, then doors just started opening up. I was motivated again. I was inspired again to just keep going, like to realize that there is space for me in the broadcast industry. And the media officer thing just came later on in my life.
That's very interesting. Okay, so it came in 2019.
Yeah, 2019 on Sport at 10.
Okay, and then 2020, I know you were one of the presenters for the G Sport for Girls Awards. That's how I know you actually. I saw you.
Really?
Like, oh, yeah, because I feel like most people, women in sports, they do such amazing things, but they don't showcase it on their social media. And you use your social media so well.
Yeah, like I try to advertise myself on social media, because I think most of my gigs I've gotten them through social media. Yeah. So even with G Sports, again, it comes with that belief. I always say, for me, sisterhood is very important. Hence, you'll always see me trying to get everyone up. Like, yo, guys, you all have to win, because I know what it feels like for someone not to believe in you, but I also know how it feels like when someone believes in you. And that's what Cass did, actually.
Yeah.
Cass saw a broadcaster in me when I was just doubting myself, like, hey, it's fine, I'll just be behind the scenes. And Cass is like, no, you will host the red carpet. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, me? You know? Yeah. And that was, yes, guys, in the industry, that was the first check that actually made me realize, oh my gosh, I can do this for a living. Like, first person to pay me for my work was actually Cass Naidu. So yeah, for me that was a big moment of my career. We hosted that, and it was in 2020 when I was unhappy at my internship place, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. I don't have a plan, but I'm trusting God. Yeah. Like I took that leap of faith, and I really just resigned. It's like, I'm out.
And then what happened after that?
Yeah, you guys won't believe this, but on the hill, Oh, guys, this is not a faith podcast.
No, it should be.
I think it should be because, like, guys, God is amazing. Like, I remember I was unhappy and I went to work that morning. I had gone to shopping that weekend, and I bought this nice outfit, and I wore it on Monday. That day I was going to. I knew it was my last day.
Yeah.
Like, I told God, like, dude, this is my last day. I took a taxi, I went to Midrand, and I'm working hard. Everyone's like, Snail, right? I'm like, yeah, sharp. I'm okay, I'm good. I kept working, and then when it was 4:30, I took all my things, and then I walked out that gate, and I was like, God, this is the last time I'm walking in Midrand. This is the last time I'm taking a taxi from Midrand back to Randburg. I'm done. Like, I'm done. And then that same week, Safa called.
Nah, bro, that is crazy.
Safa called. They're like, yes, we've heard about you. Would you want to come on board we need you as a media officer?
Wait.
Yeah, guys.
I did an interview even. You were just like, this is like
headhunted. I was headhunted for a
that is crazy.
And that's why I say it's so important how you market yourself. It's so important how you deal with people. A person that recommended me for Safa was a person who owns like some sport publication and stuff. He just dropped my name in Safa and said, I think this person would be good. The funny part is that when I was in varsity, when I was close to graduation, I actually wrote Safa a letter saying, hi, I'm Sine. I love sport and I would like to get involved. Like, I want to be a sports psychologist one day, so I like to get involved with the organization. Even if I volunteer during the holidays, as long as I'm in that environment where I see myself. And then they never responded. And then years later, I found myself in that same organization. So, yeah, that was my story with Safa. They're like, yeah, Sneh, we need you. I'm like, what do you need from me? They're like, send us your CV. I thought they're just going to go through their archives and get my CV. But I was like, no, what? I'll send a new one. Sent a CV, sent motivation. And it was quiet a bit until like September. During that time when they came back to me, I was with SABC. SABC, Orapeleng, who's the production manager at SABC, had brought me on board to help with the Bundesliga. They had just acquired the Bundesliga, right? And they wanted.
Do you watch like German football, like religiously?
Yeah, like
okay.
Yeah. And then they wanted me to come on board because it was a new product, and they needed me on their digital team to kind of market it and get South Africans to watch the Bundesliga.
To social media.
Yeah, exactly. And they knew that my bigger goal is, of course, a broadcaster. But can I do this in the meantime while they try to find space for me? And because I'm very big on learning. Like, when I'm learning, I can do anything. Yeah. Like I think that's why most of the times I would do gigs that were not paying, but because it was so important for my growth, for my learning, I would take them. Yeah, I understood the assignment. So yeah, and then when Safa came back to me, they just told me, oh, you're going into camp with the team in September.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
I didn't sign a contract.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And just like that, I was with Banyana. Guys, it felt so surreal. Like,
this is happening.
It didn't feel...
Dude, a whole national team, that's crazy.
It did, exactly. Like, it didn't feel like me to a point where I remember G-Sport wanting to write an article to say Sneh's big appointment and stuff. I'm like, hey guys, please hold on, don't write that yet. Because sometimes when, I think my favorite verse, which I have on my WhatsApp, it's Ephesians, and it says, exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think of. And that's what God has been in my life. Like, He always exceeds my wildest imagination. Never worked for a PSA club, a community club. And then God is like, hey, I'm going to take you to national team level. And for me, that was a big deal. I've never done this role before. I'm coming to Safa with just my Huawei phone, and I have to create content. I have to arrange interviews. I have to work with big name players. I have to work with Coach Desiree Ellis. And yeah, like for me, it was really, really crazy. And it was so important that I prayed about it and just asked for strength, because I didn't know how was I gonna handle it. I'm so scared of failure. Like, really, I am so scared of failure. As soon as, guys, 10,000 people can say, oh my gosh, job well done, Sneh. And
Just
one comment that says, yo, no, this work is not good. Yo,
and then it sticks with you.
It sticks with me.
Girl,
that's something that I'm working on. It sticks.
Yeah, because like you're on social media.
Yeah, like it sticks with me. So that was my fear when I first took over Banyana. Like, oh my gosh, God, I just don't want to fail. So you have to be with me throughout. And God being faithful, guys, He was there with me throughout. And yeah, from then, man, it's been a roller coaster ride. Yeah, and you think when you get into SAFA, you're working for SAFA, bro.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, yes, but there are so many challenges that come with being in that
100%.
organization and stuff like that. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I still struggle though to find a balance between being a media officer while trying to push SABC, because I couldn't let go of one dream to say I'm focusing on just being a media officer. And
because you're multifaceted.
Exactly.
And you should be allowed to do everything. We should
be. Like, I always say I don't like being boxed.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
But I'm scared, and I'll tell you why, right? Because you know how they say, you know the phrase, jack of all trades but master of none. But I want to be a master as well.
Exactly.
Like, it scares me so much because I'm like, yes, I want to do all these things, but I also want to be a
master in them. And that's me. Like, I don't like being boxed. Hence when people say, Banyana Media Officer, I'm like, guys, I am not that only.
That's
one of the things I do. Like, I'm not that. I write, I do this, I do that. So for me, like, do everything to me. Just don't box me.
Like, I like that.
We are just gonna have a huge fight. But that's basically like
your life,
my summarized life story. And
let's talk about your role as a media officer. First of all, what is that? How would you describe? What are the roles and responsibilities and such?
Okay, so how I describe it is, as a media officer, you are a person that is assigned to a team, so that people never have questions that are left unanswered when it comes to that team that you're assigned to.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be a time where people are struggling to know, when is Banyana playing next? What is happening with Banyana? Who plays for Banyana? Who is part of Banyana Banyana squad? How many caps does this player have? So you have to, as much as we always say, guys, we are not part of marketing, but at the end of the day, you have to market the team. You have to market the players. You have to tell stories because you are closest to the players. As much as camp gets real, so you never really get a chance to do all the things that you plan, because the media officer role can be, it's so broad, guys. It's so broad, and sometimes you don't notice it when you're home. And that's why I've been grateful for traveling, because then that's when you get challenged and you're like, oh damn, I got to do that as well. So when I come into camp, it's always like, oh my gosh, we have so many beautiful stories of 23 players. I need to tell all these stories. But then there are different turns that happen in the camp, and you end up telling different stories from what you expected to tell. But the main role really is to be the link between the players and the media, and the supporters and the team. Let me not say the players and the team. So that's basically my role. A very challenging role, especially when it comes to big tournaments. This was my first big tournament. Tokyo was supposed to be the first one, but a lot happened with the under 23, and then I ended up not going and pulling out of camp. So this was my first major tournament, and it came with its challenges as well, because we do things our way in South Africa, and then you travel to the rest of the world and they do things completely differently, and that's where the challenge comes in. And you're working with different, I think what makes it more challenging is working with different journalists from across the world.
Okay.
We're operating on different time zones. People want this, people want that, and I always tell my boyfriend that's perhaps one of my weakest links. Like, I always want to make everyone happy. Like, this journalist will ask this, and I'm like, okay, I got you. This one will ask this, and I'll be like, okay, I got you. And then when I look at it, I'm like, where are you gonna get the time? Because the team works on a schedule, and you have to stick on that schedule so that you don't clash with the coach or you don't clash with the players. It's a challenging job, but one of the greatest jobs in the world.
Oh, I like it.
I'm the champion. Let's not forget.
Oh, yes. Are you going to remind us like every 2 seconds? Okay, we have Sinethemba, the champion Mbatha.
Thank you.
At the bar. So I actually was about to ask you about the challenges as a media officer, but you covered that. What has this role taught you about yourself?
Wow, it has taught me that I'm not a perfectionist. because I thought I was a perfectionist. Like,
that thing doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Like, it really doesn't exist. And it has taught me to be kind with myself. I criticize myself a lot when I do something, but this role has taught me to be really kind with myself and to come back to constantly come back to myself. When we go into camp, you get lost in what you are doing, and you don't exist as Sneh, like the person. You just simply exist. You're operating as Sneh, the media officer. And I think that's what that's the mentality that the players have as well. So when you operate like that, it's like you lose yourself, and when you come back home, you
finish.
You finish. Like, there's it's like you empty. So I've taught myself to even when I'm in camp, I teach myself, okay, I'll work until this time, and then I'll give myself this time just to come back to being Sneh and being kind to myself. And I think it's also, what has also helped me is having a supportive team. Like, sometimes I'll be rushing certain things, and the manager will come, Lauren Duncan, and says, Sneh, relax. You are doing okay. Like, you are doing well.
Which you were talking about.
Exactly. And like, Sneh, you are doing well. You are doing okay. It's okay. Control only the things that you can control, and anything you can't control, just leave it. That's really been the lesson for me. And I think that another major lesson is that you won't always make everyone happy in this industry. Like, like, you'll catch smoke no matter how many times you try. You're like, okay, what do you need? Like 10,000 people can praise you, like I said, and then one person will come and say, no, I didn't have a good experience with Sneh, and that is okay. Like, I've learned to be okay with negative comments as well, but I'm trying to take in the positives as much as I can, because that's what fuels me, that's what keeps me going. So and
I like how the profile of Banyana Banyana has, since skyrocketed. People are aware of the team, the players of the team. Do you also encourage the players to, like their socials? Yeah,
we also, it's just that with big tournaments, you have to be very, like when we started this, we were talking about the mental health of players. So again, as I think when I walk into camp with my psychology background, and it also comes with that thing, Uti, you don't want the players to catch smoke on social media because of how that can affect their performance. So sometimes we'll discourage the usage of social media, especially when it comes to big tournaments. When it comes to big tournaments like the WAFCON and stuff, you'll tell them it's okay, especially when it has been a bad performance. Like the things you see on social media, you just want to block, but you can't block because it's not your personal page. And I would say, admin, it's not your personal page, or this or that. Don't block and stuff like that. But I remind the players, but at the same time, the coach tells me in this, when it comes to interviews, a lot of players don't like interviews. Players don't like Players don't like interviews. So you have to find a way to work around it. Like, okay, are you comfortable with this? Hence, how we work now, journalists have to send me the questions, and then I have to speak to the player. Are you comfortable with this? Which question do you want the journalist to remove and stuff like that? Because they want to be comfortable at the end of the day. Like, you can't be interviewing Fifi after WAFCON, and you want to ask Fifi, did the money make you happy? Can we talk about the WAFCON? Can we talk about the performance? Can we talk about the growth of women's football? Right now. Like, let's keep the main thing. So that's what the players have a problem with. But at the same time, we have to make them aware that interviews are very big for their profiles. 100%. So the coach, because journalists will tell you this, I fight with them if you keep asking me for the same players. If it's a team of 23, let's do all 23. Take different players because their profiles need to be sold. Take Ntabi Seng Magia and someone who's still upcoming in the team, and that's always my thing. So Coach Des sometimes, because I'll be there at breakfast, like, guys, please do this interview, and then Coach Des will come like, guys, you are doing this interview. I'm like, okay, thank you for coming through for me. So it's stuff like that. But it also comes with the relationship with players. You have to have a way you talk to them. Like, you must be friends with, you must be friends with these players. So you must build that relationship to say, okay, let's do this interview, jump on this Zoom call, I go knock in there. I was like, hey, come out. I'm gonna use my phone and stuff.
So you carry like a ring light to like come here, let's sit you up.
Yeah, like sometimes other players are okay with their personal numbers being given to the journalists, but others will ask, like, Snake, can I use your phone and stuff like that, and we work on that. But I always say first I have to serve the players first,
100%.
because I can't disregard how they feel to impress journalists or to impress the media, the public. Like I have to take into account how do the players feel about this. So
I like that, and I like how you say players do need to raise their profiles, because I feel the same way, and that's how you attract sponsors. That's how you attract corporates to invest in you. And yeah, that's one of the problems that I have, because I've realized that most South African athletes, right? People don't know their stories, like even our legends like your Natalie Detroit, your Caster Semenya, we don't really know their stories. We know that, oh my gosh, you are a gold medalist, you're Olympic,
and it's only after some time when people talk to the players and the players tell their story, and then everyone's like, oh my gosh,
that people resonate.
Story? Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I was even telling them, especially after WAFCON, I won't lie, guys, it has been exhausting.
Yeah, no, the media. No?
We were in camp for 50 days. Away from family for 50 days, and obviously no breaks in between. It's just work, because at AFCON, you only get 2 days rest, and then it's the next game.
Yeah.
And as a media officer, as a team manager, as a coach, you don't rest because you have to keep planning and stuff like that. I have to keep writing press release as per the organization's protocols. So I understood that when we came back, players were exhausted. We were all exhausted. And that's when they're like disregarding interview. Like, I just want to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
And the overseas-based players only had like what? Others had like 2 days to spend with their family. So you don't want a player to travel to Sandton to go do an interview, where else they could be using that hour to spend it with family. But I remember speaking to them, like, guys, you just won AFCON. This is the first time that something like this has happened in our time. So use it as much as possible, because sponsors right now are looking.
All eyes on you right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So use that to your advantage. So, and the coach tried to encourage them like that. So there are so many times where others will get called for interviews and they will get paid for that, and that made me happy. Like, because it also encourages others to accept certain interviews. Yeah. If you are called to go speak somewhere, go, even if it's just for 5 minutes, as long as you're gonna get your money at the end of the day. Because that was another problem, guys. Footballers love money, so
I think it's everyone. Let's not put on footballers.
They love money. So every time they go for an interview, it's am I getting paid? Oh gosh, oh my god. So it has been that thing. Like, I have to look out for them and stuff like that. But I've really been encouraging them to say, you know what, this is your time. Use it. Use this WAFCON victory for everything. Like, it's gonna legit work in your favor. Yeah, like leverage it the same way the coach has been doing. Just learn from the coach. She has accepted interviews even when she was exhausted. Even now she's not here, she's in Costa Rica, but I'm still sending through interviews that she has to do and stuff like that. So it's very important to capitalize on such moments to build your brand. And I've seen like their social profiles have been growing.
Yes,
that's kind of making me happy. Like, oh my gosh, by the time the World Cup comes, this is gonna be huge. So
I like that. And then let's speak about Sinethemba, the broadcaster, right? What has that experience taught you about yourself?
Wow, it has taught me that you should never reach a point where you think you've arrived. Because of demo tapes and stuff, I thought like, oh my gosh, when I get my opportunity on SABC Sports, I'm just gonna nail this. Then I get to SABC Sports. I was telling Cass the other day that I can speak and say everything, but one problem that my producer will always tell me in my ear, the only thing I'm hearing, snare your mic. It's on the left. Snare your mic. It's on the right.
Let me tell you, I hate this thing. I hate hearing. I just want to say, I don't like that.
It's the work, and we can't work without it. We can't.
But it's so, because now I'm supposed to focus and then come on.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to show the viewers at home that you're actually focusing.
Oh my god! And sometimes they're not even talking to you, so you're like, you have to see like, okay,
they are shouting at each other in the background, and you're just like, okay, sorry, I'm still here.
Right?
Like I'm the one that's on TV and stuff. But it has really taught me that you are constantly evolving, and you must be open to being teachable.
Okay.
You won't know everything. Your producer will shout at you. And you must just take it in. Don't take things personal, because once you take things personal in this industry, you're gonna hurt yourself. So just constantly evolve, constantly learn, constantly practice. Because that's what I do. One time I told my producer, I think I came with the roll on when we were doing the Manfana.
Were you practicing?
I'm practicing so that the mic can, sit in the middle of this. So they'll be like, the lady producer was like, Sneh, put it in between your boobs. I'm like,
it's
okay.
So weird and technical, hey?
It's really, because you think you're doing it
like,
right. And then when you're watching yourself, you're like, oh, is that me? Is that what everyone in South Africa is saying? But yeah, man, I love growing. I love the experience that broadcasting comes with. I love the experience that live TV comes with. Because I remember when I did Tokyo Delight with Andile Mncube, we're more in studio. And I wasn't working with an earpiece. So everything was just flowing and stuff like that. And then now when I have to be on the field, it's like, oh, this is new to me. But it's so good for learning. You learn a lot, you grow a lot. And yeah, it's all about taking it in and absorbing as much as you can.
Right. Yeah. So you've been talking about your highlights, right? Just to end off, let's talk about your adversities. So how do you come up from your adversities? I mean, you've been very vocal about your relationship with God, and is that like the constant thing that's been helping you through all these adversities? Yeah, like God has been really consistent in my life, really. I think if it wasn't for Him, you wouldn't have the winning WAFCON media officer. But no, jokes aside, I think without God, really, I wouldn't be where I am. And without a supportive structure, like a support structure, like my family, my friends, and everyone close to me, I think they kind of remind me every day. They have the ability to remind me every day of how good you are. You got this. You were destined for this, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's what helped me even at my lowest moments, because there are moments when you ask yourself, is this really worth it? Okay. Especially there's gonna be a period in your career where you're getting the exposure you wanted, but you're not making the money that you thought you'd be making. And that's where and then you start asking yourself, I should go back. I should go back to my corporate job or whatever, because there at least I would get money. But then again, that's where for me God would come in. Like I have to remind Him, like, God, but you said, like I remind God of His word, like, God, but you said if we ask, you will give it to us. If we believe, you will give it to us. If we test you with this, then you are able to reveal yourself, and that's really what has kept me going. I don't know anything else besides God. Like I really don't know anything else besides God, and that's what has helped me. And I will forever give credit to Kes Naidu, because I feel like that's the person I run to when things get real in the industry. Because your mother.
It's like my mother of the industry, someone who understands the industry. Sometimes I don't even have to. When I'm talking to you, it's like I'm talking to my friend, like, Mang did this, the organization did this. With Kes, sometimes I don't even have to explain what happened. She'll be like, you're dealing with this. I'm like, and then she'll give advice and say, so nice. How can I help? So for me, that's one person I'll forever be grateful for. Her level of understanding for me is really unmatched. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think I mentioned it on the G-Sport Live the other day that Kia once said every woman has a Kes chapter in her book. That's because she's like that. She will come through for you when you're like, I don't know if I should keep going, and she will remind you why you should keep going. And you also need to remind yourself, like, why you started. You love this. This is all you know, and besides this, there's nothing else.
So Sinethemba, thank you for your time. I enjoyed learning about you. Oh yeah, lastly, which woman would you like to see on the Bell podcast?
Itumeleng.
We have her next week.
So. Oh my gosh, I love her growth. I feel like there's so much more to come from her. Every time she sends me a voice note or she sends me a video we're together, I would tell her, you belong on TV.
Yeah.
She has faced adversity of her own, but like every time she bounced back. Like her spirit of resilience is absolutely amazing. And yeah, that's the next woman I want to see on this podcast.
Oh, you will.
It's like my industry bestie. So,
let me tell you. So we're supposed to have her like maybe 2 months ago, and then we cancelled, and then like a month ago we cancelled again. So hopefully next week works.
Ido, you have to be here.
Yeah, please be here, Ido.
No, she's gonna come. She's gonna.
All
come. But yeah, that's my sister, and I love her so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, and I know you guys are honored to have a champion-winning media officer.
She's still a Chelsea supporter, and
we are gonna win that.
Where can people catch you? And Banyana Banyana and
oh my gosh, with Banyana I'm gonna still update you. We have camps coming up, obviously, so updates about that will be released on the Banyana Banyana Twitter page, Facebook page, and then safa.net on Instagram, at Banyana Banyana on Twitter. And then with myself, it's just at Sinethemba Mbatha on Twitter, Sinethemba Mbatha on Instagram. And yeah, man, that's where you find me. Or Facebook, I don't use. Sorry, guys. Only Banyana Banyana uses Facebook because we just try to reach different people. So yeah, thank you for having me. This was great. This was like a great chat. Are we going to have food after?
Champions need to eat, I guess.
It's not easy being a champion, but thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll put everything about Sinethemba Mbatha, the champion, on the description box. It's been the bell. Oh yeah, thank you to the Lost Alpaca for allowing us to record in their space. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.